Data centres are a crucial but often unsung hero of our digital world. The metaverse, cloud computing, the Internet of Things and AI may get all the glory, but none of it is possible without a data centre. It's the backbone of our digital infrastructure. Hello. I'm here with Pankaj Sharma, Executive Vice President, Secure Power Division and Data Centre Business at Schneider Electric, and he's going to illuminate on how businesses need to adopt their data centre strategy alongside their digital transformation plans to capitalise the AI opportunity. Pankaj, welcome.
So happy to be here today. It's obviously a pleasure and an honor.
Does the world really need AI?
Let me start by the World Wide Web. When the World Wide Web started, and we all remember that, it took, I think, between 7 to 10 years for us to get to 100 million users. When you think about AI and all the tools around AI, ChatGPT and so on, there are plenty of those out there. Within 2 months, we are at 100 million subscribers. Okay, so that's the first point to remember. Second, when you think about the amount of money, capital which is going into this industry, and it's not just the private equity firms, I mean, there are a bunch of those out there, but also when you think about the ecosystem, and within the ecosystem, right from the silicon manufacturers like NVIDIA, AMD, etc., then you think about the hyperscalers, right? I mean, the large companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and all of those. There is so much of money which is going into this space, which also points to the fact that there's something real happening. At Schneider, we believe this is the next industrial revolution from an AI point of view. So all of that sort of points to the fact that AI is actually becoming real. Do we need it is the big question, and from the perspective of looking at all the investments which are being made, etc., it's a huge take. And maybe I'll give you one other example. Think about how AI is already getting used in different walks of life. Especially, I look at fintech, things like fraud detection, things like customer engagement, things like credit risk, etc. I mean, all that is using AI already. So yeah, to answer your question, are we there? Yeah, we think we are.
Are we really ready for an AI revolution, and how do data centers fit into it?
When you think about the size of this market, there are tons of data out there, but the two which stand out for me is the total market size for Gen AI, generative AI, is supposed to be almost $1.3 trillion by 2032. Okay, so that's the information out there. Now, when you think about overall AI, overall artificial intelligence, the size of that market around similar time frames, like the end of the decade, early next decade, is supposed to be about $15+ trillion. So that's like the magnitude of what we are talking about, and hence comparing it to almost like an industrial revolution, because it's really going to create huge new markets out there, right? Now, we already spoke about the investments, so that's only commensurate to the size of the PAM, right? Size of the market, investments from private equity, hyperscalers, etc., and so on. Now, the world is getting ready, and I wouldn't say that we are ready today, but we are on the path. And when you think of data centers, which is a great point you made, end of the day, all of this information which Gen AI and AI is using has to be computed on equipment, and equipment being the servers, the superchips, etc. And all of those have to lie on a base, which is the data center. Now, we are in the process of building a lot of data centers. I mean, the whole industry is. It's not just Schneider Electric, but data centers play an integral role. It's almost like the backbone of the success of what can be an outcome for us through AI. So that's the role which data centers play.
These are huge figures, aren't they, when we look at the investment? And what do you think the significance is about the confidence of people investing and companies investing so much into AI?
The best way to look at that significance is the return. And when I say return, I'm not only talking about a return to somebody's shareholder value, etc. I mean, of course, there are capital returns from any business. But the bigger opportunity here is how the application of Gen AI and AI will start to bring in more efficiency in not just the way we operate as consumers, but as businesses, as medical science, as many other industries out there. So the reason why all these big investments are going is because there is now a very strong inherent belief that this is really going to change our lives in the future for the better. And hence you see all these large companies, investment houses, etc., making those investments.
Are there specific global locations or regions that are growing at a faster rate than others? And if that is the case, why?
When you think about these huge investments, etc., and these are big numbers, it means we need to be able to do a lot of work both on the silicon side, which is on creation of these super chips, which can actually do this compute. But it also means needing a lot of new data centers to be built. Now, when you talk about these new data centers to be built, there are a couple of things which are important. The first most important piece is energy, availability of energy. Now, do we even have enough energy on the planet to build these data centers, right? Then the second important topic is sustainable energy, because we also don't want to be investing hugely in these data center environments and then creating further problems for already challenged planet, right? So sustainable or renewable energies. The third thing is, even to build these kind of large data centers, geographically, there is a huge concept of permitting. I mean, you need to have permits to be able to build these kind of large data centers. How much of the installed power in a certain geography, country, city, etc., is already being utilized for digital or data centers? Because that also plays an important role, because the power is not only needed for data centers. You and me need power in our homes. So these are a few factors which are important. Now, when we look at these factors, what becomes important to think about is, where is all this available? I live in the US for the last couple of years. I can tell you there are states like Virginia, which on a percentage of power being utilized for digital and data centers is extremely high, beyond 25%. So it's hard to build more data centers in there, even if you're able to get the permitting. But then there are other states, like in Texas, etc., where there's still a huge opportunity. Likewise, when you start applying this to the rest of the world, take example of Europe, there are places in Nordics where there's available power, and it's clean power, renewable power. There are places like in Spain where you have available power, clean power, where you can build these data centers, right? Then when you think about Asia, there are places like, for example, Malaysia has a lot of available power, so you could build data centers there. So that's sort of the overall concept of data centers. Now, there's one other angle to this which I'd like to point out is, when you think about building data centers in the current environment, especially when you're thinking about Gen AI-based data centers, it is okay to have these data centers in remote locations, because a lot of work with Gen AI does is the training of those AI clusters, and that can happen in far-flung locations. They don't need to be connected to where you and me are. So that's also a bit of an advantage. So the choice, if you have all those factors like sustainable power, renewable power, permitting, and the percentages like I spoke about, you could build data centers in those locations.
Would you say that we're capitalizing, therefore, if you're looking at those more far-flung locations, as you mentioned, on utilizing the world in a better way in some ways?
Yes, and that's very well said. I mean, these are locations where we would not have thought about building data centers in the past. But if they have available power, which can be utilized for digital and data centers, then that's a great opportunity. And yes, we are in that direction. Now, there's obviously another caveat to that, which is companies have to be able to invest in resources in those locations to build those data centers, right? I mean, now you have available power, but you have the teams who can go in there, can you provide equipment to that location and so on. So there's definitely that caveat, but when you think of the big picture, like you very eloquently said, it is actually better utilization of resources.
How about users? Is it just tech giants, or are you seeing massive growth in other industries such as AI startups, automotive, financial, healthcare, retail, transport and manufacturing?
First off, when you think about all of us, we are all used to doing search, right? I mean, we do Google search or Bing search. I mean, there are multiple search engines out there. Now, think about ChatGPT just as one of the tools. Search will probably be completely turned into a ChatGPT type of a tool, which we'll all as users get used to, and asking questions, getting quick answers, and so on, right? So that's, for example, when you think about us as consumers. I gave you a little bit of example earlier on fintech, in the finance world, in the banking world, things like credit and fraud detection and all of that. That's another very interesting example. Think about manufacturing, industrial manufacturing. With the use of AI, if we can do digital twins better through the simulated world, you can apply all that learning into the real world. So that accelerates the entire manufacturing process. Similarly, think about areas like medical science. In fact, there's one example I thought would probably be interesting to share. There's you're in London, so this is a group called the Wellcome Sanger Group, and they're one of the leading genome biotech type of companies. They have been able to actually apply AI, and they're actually able to save almost 33% in terms of energy consumption, and it's almost close to $1 million of savings. So that's an immense amount of saving, which one example of a industry can get. But to your question, it is actually across industries.
And when you talk about those case studies, it really does bring it to life, doesn't it? People can understand then that this is indeed like an AI revolution for sure.
Exactly. So these examples, then when you start adding all of them up and think about the benefits which we can get, it does become real. To your earlier question, is this real? It actually does become real.
Now, how is Schneider Electric seizing the opportunity, and what are the key considerations?
We have been in the data center business for more than 3 decades now. We've seen cycles from enterprise to cloud, and then the e-commerce, the metaverse, and so on, Bitcoin, etc. Now, that has given us a pretty intense experience, and experience not just in building these data centers in different parts of the world, etc., and of course, knowledge and people and all, but also a lot of innovation. So from a Schneider point of view, given sustainability is our number one driver as a company, it's a part of our DNA, our culture, here we believe is an opportunity for us to double down even further in helping build these data centers. Now, to do that, there are a couple of things which are important. Now, obviously, the first one being innovation. So we have a lot of innovation in this space, which we are working towards right now, and we can speak to that. We also have a part of our company which is called the Sustainability Business Division. I mean, what this part of the company does is they help consult with the top Fortune 500 companies, and where we are able to help them guide their investments towards sustainability. And of course, that works in our data center business as well. We are making a lot of continuous investment in terms of supply chains. Very important. I mean, like in the US where I live, I mean, we made more than $400 million worth of factories and investments to be made to build those factories. We build factories in India on top of what we already have, some investments in the UK, and so on. And then, of course, as a company, we are working with our customers, the hyperscaler, the co-location companies, and there are some really large deals which we are signing. And the deals are being signed in a way that these are like longer-term contracts, which helps from a supply chain point of view, because that is also extremely crucial in this space. So yeah, as Schneider, while we have multiple decades of experience in this space, we are really doubling down on investments now.
The growth of AI at data centres is said to be causing a surge in energy consumption and CO2 emissions. Why is this, and why is sustainability more important now than ever before?
When you think of generative AI, it's all about data. And now we're talking about multitudes of data versus what we are exposed to in the past. This data has to then work on the large language models, and then the computing of that has to happen on the super chips which go into these servers. And hence, the need for data is so high, the need for compute is so high, that the amount of energy needed at every single server level, including a super chip level, becomes very, very high. That's why overall, when you think about energy needed for these data centers, that it is much, much higher than what has been done in the past. Another aspect to think about is that the efficiency of these servers, these super chips, is also actually extremely high. So that's sort of a bit of a balance here. And sometimes it can become like a misnomer saying, oh, it's very high energy, so is it really good or bad for the planet? So now that's just one aspect. There are plenty of examples where we have offers, or we are even launching some offers, which can bring in the efficiency of the utilization of energy even further. So I'll give you one example of something which is called a switchgear, which has been running in the past on SF6. SF6 is a bad gas. Our new offers are SF6 free, so which is basically air you and me breathe. Power protection offers are much lower footprints, and they are AI ready offers. What that means is much lesser material, right? We spoke about the amount of heat getting generated at the server level. So To take that heat out, you need cooling. So our cooling offers from the turbo core chiller perspective and from liquid cooling becomes absolutely crucial in the current AI world. So those offers are ones. And there are many more examples like that. So offers is one. The second important point to think about is when you're thinking about generation of energy. Now, generation of energy, we are all dependent on the grid, and grids are getting decarbonized, which is all good news. But there's also opportunity to generate that energy at the level of the site where the data centers are being built. Case in point, when you think about renewables on the site, when you think about microgrids on the site. So that's another pivot. The last thing which I would say is we need to keep in mind that AI in itself is helping with efficiency, and we spoke a lot about efficiency here, right? Improving our processes. Including that is the energy consumption process, which is also being, if you use AI, can be further helping in terms of the efficiency of utilization of energy itself. So when you think about innovation, think about local generation. When you think about the fact that the footprints are becoming smaller, even for the servers and the super chips themselves, think about what are the possibilities with AI being utilized for better energy consumption. There is definitely a path forward to solve the sustainability and the energy challenge, which is ahead of us from an AI perspective.
It's kind of feeding each other, isn't it? It's this circle that is being created, and it's crucial, isn't it, that AI and sustainability work hand in hand?
Exactly, and I think as a responsible company and companies and all of us out there, even individuals, that has to be the way to move forward. It cannot only be about thinking, okay, great on AI, but what about the planet? So it has to work hand in hand. Very well said.
Now, as we move forward, what should organisations prioritise in terms of strategy and execution to responsibly unlock the full potential of AI?
To me, the most important piece is responsible execution, like you just mentioned, right? So what that means is starting with acceptance. There is still some euphoria out there, people thinking, oh, is this really real? Do I really want it, etc. I think accepting that this is going to be the next big shift or next big transformation in our lives and in our businesses and for all those different industries we're talking about, that is a starting point. Now, once we have the acceptance as an organization, many organizations, then start to openly apply those tools. And I'm not just suggesting apply ChatGPT. I mean, there are many out there, right? But it's important to think about what's going to work for your business and how these tools can help with higher efficiency. Efficiency is the key word here, is what I would like, I think, all of us to remember. The way to look at AI is that it is going to help us enhance the way we run our businesses from an efficiency point of view. So the second point for me is think about all the AI application from an efficiency perspective. Think about the process benefits we can get, so we can serve our customers even further, even better, and all the other examples which we were talking about earlier during this interview. And then finally, of course, sustainability. The responsibility of making sure that we apply all those tools, what work for improving the efficiency, but in a sustainable fashion. And when we spoke about innovation, we spoke about some of those aspects. So to me, that's what we all need to do as Schneider and many other companies and every other company out there in the world. The benefits of AI seem pretty relevant in the current world. The investments, etc., going in seem also super strong. The realization of all of that, if it can be done in a sustainable fashion, which really depends on us doing it in a sustainable fashion, I think there is a huge, huge shift coming our way.
Pankaj Sharma, thank you for your insights. Data centres planning is certainly going to be a major factor as businesses adopt and deploy AI everywhere. Thank you for watching.